Hey everybody, Jay down here in Belize again. So today's video, I'm going to be giving you a walkthrough of my water system. So here we are at the Mopan River, right behind my property. It's rainy season, so a lot of silt and sediment being washed down, giving us that not so pretty brown color. Just a few weeks ago, the water was lower and it had that beautiful turquoise color that the Mopan River is famous for. But anyway, here we are at the base of my water pump. So that pipe going into the river, can't see the pump right now because the water is pretty cloudy, but this is where it all starts. So we pump out of the river with a submergible pump. So from the river pump, we pump it up to my water tank at the top of the hill here. I built this hill to give me a little bit of water pressure. This was before I had my utility shed, before I had my pressure pump and pressure tank system. So I needed this for irrigation. If you remember from previous videos, I've got over 1,000 trees here, hardwoods and fruits that I've planted. So that was enough water pressure there on that 25-foot hill to allow me to water the trees with a garden hose. So here's a closer look at the water tank system. So water from the river comes in here and gets pumped in up there. And the valves down here and the filters, that's actually for filling my swimming pool. I didn't want to take completely unfiltered water from the river and pump it into the pool, so I run it through these two inline filters, and then the garden hoses, I just run it over to the water slide, and I just let the water go down the slide and into the pool from there. Now up top we have an additional float switch connected. So inside the tank here we've got a float switch. That is what controls the power for the river pump. I try to keep this pretty full because out here, this tank, this is basically my fire prevention. I mean, if we had a fire out here, I want as much water as possible for fighting that. So keeping this thing full helps with that. And because that is such a critical thing, I mean, water in general is a pretty critical thing. So I've got this additional sensor here, a little white cord here that goes to a float switch inside the tank. And this is a little Wi-Fi connected water monitoring switch. So this will alert me if the water level falls below the level of the float switch inside the tank. I've used these devices before. It's normally used for monitoring a septic system, a sump pump, but it can be used for monitoring water level as well. You just have to reverse the input basically so that it triggers when the water level drops instead of when it rises. All right, so continuing through the flow here, from the tank up on top of the hill, we come into my pressure tank. So this will pressurize, it'll increase the pressure. Looks like we're a little low now, probably 30 psi. Try to keep that around 40 psi, but it'll cycle on and off. From there we go into a pre-filter, then we go into our saltless water softener, which is supposed to somehow like ionize or kind of treat the minerals in such a way that they'll pass through without creating a lot of calcification buildup. To be honest, I'm still on the fence whether or not that's working well. I do see some water spotting buildups on my chrome fixtures in the shower and on the tile. I guess it'll prevent buildup inside the pipes, but on flat surfaces, I guess where the water is going to sit, there's not much you can do about that. Then we go through our main filter and then our fine grain filter, and then lastly we go into our ultraviolet treatments. So that's where we kill all the bacteria and germs and nasty things that were in the river. And then from there I go through my Streamlabs control. Basically that's just a monitoring system and a shut-off valve in case there's an issue, if there's a leak or something like that. And it lets me monitor the pressure and water flow. I can get gallon usage statistics and things like that. And then finally, the final stage of my filtration system. So this is my reverse osmosis filter located underneath the house. So from here, we're going through a three-stage, actually a four-stage filter, including the reverse osmosis. So this is what gives me my drinking water. The main filtration system that gets the big stuff out. And it's great for showering, bathing, washing your hands, that type of thing. But for actual potable water for consumption, you want to go through this reverse osmosis system. And then basically we go into the storage tank there on the right, because it does flow very slow. You're forcing the water through some very fine micron filtration, and in doing so you're slowing the flow. If you didn't have this storage tank, it would take quite a long time to fill a pitcher of water. You'd be waiting for, well, several minutes at least. And then finally, here's the end result. So this is the water coming out of my reverse osmosis system, fully filtered. And I have had this water tested by a commercial water testing company down here in Belize, and it is drinkable. It's potable. In fact, probably some of the cleanest water you're going to find. So, great system, works really well. Being on the river, I basically have an infinite supply of water. Don't have to worry about rain catchment, running out of water, things like that. Don't have to worry about well running dry or contaminants underground. It just works really well. Highly recommend it.